Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, May 26th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, NVDA, absolutely monster move after earnings and is setting up with some very well-defined levels. And I emphasize well-defined because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. And the level here that, in my mind, at least in my opinion, a lot of people are going to be watching, and what they've done is they've drawn this trend line down just like that. And I want to reiterate, there are no such thing as guarantees, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think on a very popular stock such as NVIDIA that if the price were to turn around, come back up and get through that trend line, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? Once again, not guaranteed, but a more than plausible scenario. So keep an eye on that trend line from a breakout standpoint. And then as far as supports are concerned, two main levels stand out, more so the nearer term level right there at the 377 mark. And then if you want to see if it pulls back a bit deeper, then right down there around the 366 mark, another interesting level. But in my opinion, at least the most interesting dynamic is all about that trend line right there. So if you like to play these situations and maybe, this is too high of a price stock, so maybe you trade options, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one, WLDS, and not as popular as NVIDIA, clearly. I'm not sure if I've ever even heard of this one, but similar in the way of, there's some good, well-defined levels. And in my mind, the very well-defined level right up there at, let's call it the $1.77 mark, which you can see several times from earlier on in the day. Price got up around that level and just can never maintain or build any sort of momentum. And so there has been a pullback here. But in all actuality, so if I just document this pullback, that has actually just created a bullish pattern. How so? Well, sure, right here the price is pulling back, but you have to ask yourself, well, what was going on before this pullback? Well, you had this big explosion right there, which now allows me to draw this bull flag pattern. So some people might say, well, I'm not going to wait for up there. I want to try to play a break of that trend line right there and anticipate the break right there. And I completely understand where those people are coming from, but that's what makes trading fun. Is there's many ways you can approach these sorts of different, setups. So keep an eye on those couple dynamics. And then as far as the support level is concerned, key level seems to be right here at the $1.20 mark. You can see that's where it's bounced from during this last 30 minutes as I speak. And then right there, you can see the price also bounced from that level. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, overall, depending on how you want to play the bull flag or if you want to wait for the price to potentially get up there, like I said, there's many ways that you could approach it. Next one, PLTR, which I would say is a very popular stock. So keep in mind popular stock and then that whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, because please understand, me drawing this is not a sign of brilliance. It's not a great skill or anything. The exact opposite. That is the most basic of trend lines. But that's what you want. You want basic. You want trend lines that stand out like a sore thumb, especially on popular stocks, because you are, again, not guaranteed to get a self-fulfilling prophecy, but the self-fulfilling prophecy potential makes that much more sense. So if the price comes up here and breaks up through it, then right there, it is more than valid to think that that break in and of itself could create just that much more buying pressure. So this one, very popular premise, or very straightforward premise, Popular stock, very well-known, very easy to see trend line. So let's see if it does indeed lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Next one, NIO, which is just crazy to think. A couple days ago, I remember doing this one, talking about how, wow, great move. Look at this nice bull pennant pattern, and then just completely has gotten smashed back to the downside. So much so that it's actually even dropped down below these lows at 775, which has been doing a good job. And that's what brings up our first key update. This update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce back in the upwards direction, that first question mark comes into play. Well, can the price, will it have enough strength to get back above 775? So watch that from resistance side of things. As far as areas of support, two main levels. First level is just simply based on the fact of where did the bleeding finally stop today, and that was down there at $7.50. But if 750 does not quite hold up, the next key level after that would be down here around these lows, which sit around $7.35. But yeah, no doubt about it. Brutal past couple of days. Still a lot of downwards momentum seems to be in play. So we'll see how it closes out the week on Friday. Next one here, AMC, and another very rough day, so updates need to be made. Just go ahead and get rid of that level. And as you just heard me say on the previous one, NIO, same general idea. When levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce right here at $4.80 will be that first key level of resistance. And I just noticing it right now, but I mean, look at the last 30 minutes. Massive volume, volume pouring in quite nicely here. So I don't know, is this some sort of little bottoming candle getting a spinning top here? Only time will tell, but like I said, kind of an interesting final dynamic there. In terms of if this thing rolls back over and continues on down, where's the next level of support at? I know the chart's getting harder to see, but it just goes to show that it's been quite a while since the price has been down this low. Next key area of support would then be down, oh, that makes sense, right at $4.64. And I say that makes sense because if you look back here, you can see the price has bounced off that before. So it makes sense to see why the price once again found some buyers right around that area. Will the buyers continue to be there? Nobody knows that, but it is logical, at least at this point, to think that there are some buyers down around that area. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class, which I just noticed I forgot to put the email there, but now my email's there. But anyways, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency to manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Now, one special note, it is a genuine live class. So a couple of situations, maybe you're like me and you have a very busy schedule. I have 5 kids. So maybe you already have something on your schedule tonight. You can't make it. Maybe you're watching this Friday morning and you completely missed it. It will be recorded. So after the recording is done and I get it uploaded, I'd be happy to send you an email. So like I said, just drop me an email and I'll reply back with the link. But because it is truly live, all I ask is a little patience because the event first does need to happen. And then after I get it uploaded, I'd be happy to send you to it. But if you can make it live, then definitely get signed up here. There's a link down in the description box if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. Next one, ticker symbol AI. Overall, very, very impressive chart. If I squeeze this down, you can see that the entire chart is just fine. And I bring that up because it's kind of a tricky chart to talk about depending on perspective. Meaning if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, or whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well then from that perspective, the chart looks really, really bad because yes, today there was a very big pullback. But keyword there being today, as in one day. Looking at multiple days as we're doing here, you can see that when you just start to look at the lows, these lows have gotten higher and higher compared to previous ones. So if you envision these as stair-steps, you can see the stair-steps are still very clearly in the upwards direction. Again, I fully admit that, yeah, if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair-steps. But that's why I'm trying to distinguish between somebody that cares about a very small amount of time versus somebody that cares about multiple days. So assuming you do care about a multiple day perspective, as you see here, even with the big pullback today, the overall chart is still plenty in an uptrend. Next one here, TSLA. This is going to be very quick. It's built upon the same general idea that I talked with PLTR. So step one, very, very popular stock. Who has not heard of Tesla? Second, is there any sort of obvious level that you got to think a lot of people have drawn? And in my mind, absolutely that trend line right there. You got to think that all sorts of people drew that trend line, and therefore it brings about no guarantees, but a possibility of the self-fulfilling prophecy where if the price comes up here, pushes up through that level, that break in and of itself could create good solid buying pressure. So keep an eye on that trend line from the breakout standpoint. If you like to play more so pullbacks and a couple interesting levels of support are down there right around that area at the 180.50 mark, maybe up around here around 183 too. But like I said, just to keep things not cluttered up with lines everywhere, let's try to keep this as clean as possible. But in my opinion, like I said, the most interesting dynamic is all about that trend line and whether or not the price can get the break up through it. Next one, BMR, and this is an interesting setup because for a while, things were looking very, very sketchy. The price had gone all the way up there, and then the price dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped some more. So at this point, it was a big question of, okay, is this one of these gap and traps? Is this one of these things where it gaps up and then crashes right back down? And we got our answer, no, it was not, because the latter part of the day, the price did start to work its way back upwards. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because there is a big pullback and just because the price started to go upward slightly does not mean that for sure guaranteed this pullback is over and that for sure guaranteed this thing is going to keep on going up. But is it at least more plausible at this point in time? Absolutely. Case in point, let's say the price was still dropping, and I'm saying, hey, it's looking like this could be a bottom. You'd be completely justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally still dropping. But obviously that's not the case here, right? The price has started to go upwards. So again, guaranteed bottom, no. Valid to think that it could be a bottom? Sure, absolutely, and that's where this level right here at $5.35 comes into play. If the price can push up through there, then yeah, maybe you get some sort of reversal back up to, I don't know about retesting those highs, but even if it goes up half the way that much relative to what was being risked, you could be looking at a nice risk-reward scenario. Next one, AMD, monster move today along with NVDA. And in my mind, it's looking like a pullback potentially coming here, and I say that because of the pattern that's formed today. So if I draw that like that, And then that, like that, we have what is called a rising wedge pattern. Now, you might think rising wedge, oh, that should be bullish. It's actually bearish, whereas a falling wedge is actually a bullish pattern. So I might have said a rising wedge is bearish. So I want a rising wedge with this is bearish. Now, just because something is bearish does not mean it's going to pull back, and certainly does not mean that this thing's about to crash. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is this pattern does suggest that, yeah, this thing maybe needs a bit of a pullback, which would make sense, right? It just had a big move up, might need some profit takers to step up, but it is AMD, so maybe this thing is going to smack me in the face and say, what are you talking about? We don't care about rising wedges, and it very well could go up, which is why risk management always matters. But if I were forced into a corner and said, Clay, what do you think is going to happen? I would say, well, because of the falling wedge, or excuse me, because of the rising wedge pattern, I would expect more of a pullback here over the next couple of days. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So when the NASDAQ market as a whole has a good day, this one also has a good day, which is why this one gapped up huge. So I was talking about these levels yesterday's video, and I mean, this just seems all silly down here, not that the price is all the way up there. So first thing, I'll just go ahead and get rid of these levels as they no longer really serve a purpose at this exact moment. Whoops. But what I want to get in play here, and I don't know how many people have drawn this, but for my own curiosity's sake, I think that trend line right there is going to play a role moving forward. In fact, you can see by me just connecting that point and that point, how good of a job it did. Not perfectly, as the price got a little bit above there, but right there directly rejected off that level. So that's going to be my main question mark, not necessarily moving just into Friday, but over the next couple of days, can the price actually push up through that level and get up there and then stay up above it is going to be, like I said, an interesting dynamic from a resistance side of things. In terms of levels of support, key level to watch moving forward, and then more of the near term right there at 32.25. And if that level can't quite hold up, next key level down there right around the 31.75 mark. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live class. So hopefully I'll see you in just a few hours. But again, if you can't make it live for whatever reason, go ahead, send me an email, clay@claytrader.com, and I'd be happy to send you a link to the recording. But again, because it's a genuine live event, it first needs to happen, then I got to get it uploaded, and then I'd be happy to send it to you. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching for tomorrow. But those two things help out the video, help out the channel as a whole, and as long as I know you're enjoying, I will continue to do them. So again, get signed up for that free class, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and hopefully I'll be seeing you here in just a few hours.